Welcome to my video critique for chapter 4. This week's video they all kind of talked about how our world's changing and we kind of need to be rethinking the way we're teaching our students to better fit their learning styles. So the first video kind of talked about transformation um, and how our model of learning must change, and we need to rethink how students are learning. We kind of need to modernize our curriculum um, so that all students can excel instead of just getting by. It's very student-centered, and they talked about how there's 4 parts that have to work together in order for the student-centered model to work. And that's, it needs to be personalized, so you need to be able to know your students and know their learning style, and how you can best help them. It's number 2 is it's competency based. So students, can proceed at their own pace. Once they are competent at one skill, then they can move on to the next, or if they need more work on one skill, another student can move on. So it's kind of at your own pace. Number 3, you can learn anytime, anywhere. It doesn't just stop bell to bell in the school. Learning continues anytime, anywhere. And then the last part that needs to work together is that students take ownership. They play a role in their success, which I think is pretty cool. The next video talked about the Gardner's 9 types of intelligence. Um, and I think that I can see these intelligences kind of in my profession because I have so many students and they're all so different. And I can see bits and pieces of each of these types of intelligence within those students. So it kind of talked about picture smart, which is students can use their imagination and kind of pull from different things. There's nature smart, number smart, so they're really good at math, have that good number sense. People smart, so they're good with people. They're able to interact and communicate. Word smart, they're good at writing. Life smart, so they're quite the entertainer. Um, Body smart, so they're very powerful, hardworking, very strong. Self smart, so they really understand feelings and are able to control those feelings. And then finally, music smart, so they're very musically inclined and able to do those things. And I think that as teachers, we can kind of see these intelligences, and one of our students is not just one of these intelligences. I can see bits and pieces of each of these different things in my students, and that helps me to build a curriculum that kind of tailors to their needs. And then it talked about how we need to add teach smart, which I thought was pretty cool. You know, you have to be able to do a lot of things when you're a teacher, and um, you know, it's pretty cool that they want to add teach smart. Um, then in the first TED Talk we watched, it talked about students of the future and that we need to look at research-based techniques and relationships when we're building curriculum. And we need to think, what inspires students? That was the big question that he asked. And then he kind of talked about the 5 C's, which, I incorporated in my classroom today. Students love choices. Um, they talked about how, he gives like a menu at the beginning of a unit and students have to pick um, which activities they want to do. And so students then feel like they are taking ownership and they get to have a role in their learning. Then collaboration. So students work together and they work together with their peers and with the teacher. Communication, they have to learn to communicate with one another. Um, and then they also need critical thinking. So not just textbook answers, they have to think about what they're doing. And then creativity, which I think is huge. They have to be able to think of, a topic in a creative and new way, and then project that in a presentation. Or he said something about art and media, where they had to do a project at the end and they had to think of a creative way to show that they understand the material. So then he talked about how our brains are wired for the 5 C's. It opens opportunities for these students and for the teacher. And it requires teachers to, make a shift in their teaching style. The teacher's not at the front and center, they are kind of a guide. And, it would take a while for teachers now to get used to that, but I think it's important that, students have an important role in their education. Um, you know, it what a classroom looks like. There's different activities going on. Students are all working on different things. Sorry, had a parent come talk to me. But anyway, then I'm going to talk about the last video. And it talked about how most schools are preparing students for 1991. So very old-fashioned, very teacher-centered, and basically we just need to make an upgrade to our curriculum and how we are um, teaching our students. So we need to upgrade what we teach, our skills, the assessments, and our genres. So basically just give an upgrade to our curriculum into our schools. So this is kind of what I took from the videos for chapter 4. Hope you enjoyed it and have a great weekend.